I'm gonna perch.
Ooh!
Oh yeah, he's not potty trained, so he can put whatever he wants. Okay, it's just important for you guys to know that I can play with his beak because Apollo and I are very close. But if he doesn't know you, he can use this beak to take big chunks of meat out of you. So if you are not very attached to one of your fingers, he can help you detach it. Just sign a waiver before you try it because I love my job. Okay, so let's go. Let's give him the microphone. Very good, Apollo. Now let's say, oh, the swallows. Very good, Apollo. Okay, now that we have that out of the way, we can start with the actual owl talk. And first of all, I always like to tell people that owls are my favorite type of bird of prey. You're gonna see other birds of prey in the Birds in Motion show, which is fantastic. But owls are just majestic. I believe that they are super birds. And in order to be a super bird, you need to have superpowers, right? Otherwise, you're just a bird. And we're gonna discuss three major superpowers that every single owl in the world has. Now, the first one is something that you probably already noticed as we were walking here. Did you see this pair of beautiful, huge, glowing, mesmerizing eyes?
Yes.
Yeah? Well, thank you very much, but don't get distracted with me. Take a look at Apollo's eyes. They're actually quite more powerful than mine. For example, if he takes a look at the peak of grouse over there, Apollo can zoom in to individual branches of the trees over there. And that's because he knows that in here, in this mountain, there are other great horned owls, there are bald eagles, red-tailed hawks, and all of those birds could compete with him for food. He is an apex predator in the mountains, so he's not afraid about being predated, but they can fight each other in order to have territories in here. So that's why he's always very aware of his surroundings. Another thing that is interesting about their eyes is the size of them. I already told you that they're quite big, but that can be also quite an understatement. An owl's eyes are so big that they occupy 75% of the whole space inside the head. Literally 3/4 of their heads is just eyes. So there is very little room for the brain, and we're going to talk about that in a little bit. But also, their shape is very unique. They don't have rounded eyeballs like we do, so it's not like a marble. It's actually tubular. So it's kind of like a camera lens. And because they have this shape, owls cannot turn their eyes inside their sockets like this.
That's why the whole head
Yeah,
turns.
so they cannot give you the side eye if you arrive late to the owl talk. They just turn their heads and judge people directly. Not very subtle. And that would be quite a disadvantage in the wild to only be able to see what's right in front of you. So they managed to adapt with something that I would say is the most popular thing about an owl, and that is their neck turn. Anyone in here knows how much can an owl turn their necks?
360?
360 in some cartoons, yes. In real life, it's a bit less.
180?
There we go, 270.
270.
So they can turn 3/4 of the way, which is still quite impressive, even if it's not all the way around. And that's because of the vertebrae that they have on their necks, in their necks. So us as humans, we can turn 180 from side to side. Maybe a little bit more if you go to the chiropractor. But that's because we only have 7 vertebrae in our neck area. Owls, they have 14, twice as many as we do. So that's why they can rotate their head so much. But when owls are turning their head constantly, it's not only because they are interested in looking at your beautiful faces. It's also because they're using their second superpower, which is
Year.
hearing. Like he was hearing that barn swallow over there. Super hearing. Now, when I say super hearing, let me tell you just how super it is. Apollo is capable of hearing each one of your heartbeats right now. Very easily. Actually, he can listen to a mouse's heartbeat over 30 feet away. So our big human hearts are no challenge for this guy. And just imagine if you, as humans, you had the hearing of an owl right now. You'd be listening to like 60 sets of heartbeats at the same time. The coaster, the ice truck, and of course the lovely voice of the ranger speaking next to you with a microphone. Now, because of all those things, we would go insane, right? But they managed to adapt with something that is really interesting. Remember that I said that when they're turning their head, they're using a superpower? Well, they use these feathers over here that resemble kind of like a mask around his face. Do you see them?
Mm-hmm.
This is what we call a facial disc. And it's basically the equivalent of our external ears. So they use those feathers to catch sound waves and funnel them to both internal ears. So wherever they're looking at, they're focused on that sound like an antenna, and they are muting the rest. So that's why he doesn't go crazy with me talking next to him, because he just ignores me 95% of the time. He's not even paying attention. Now, we've talked a lot about hearing, but I have to ask you, where are his ears? Do you guys know?
Here.
Are they
Yeah,
like back
here,
behind?
and the other one?
Like behind the eye?
Behind the eye? At the same height of the eye? Yeah. Okay, you guys are 50% right. Yes. His left ear, it's at the height of the eye over here on the side. But the other ear is down here.
Ah.
So his other ear is actually here.
Oh.
And that is quite important for owls, because that's how they can listen to the world in 3D. So they know how high or how low a sound is coming from. And something that we cannot do because our our ears are symmetrical and theirs are asymmetrical. Now, a third superpower, and this one is my favorite about owls, it's something that only they have. No other bird of prey has this, because eagles have supervision and hawks have super hearing, but they do not possess this superpower. And that is
Night vision.
night vision. He's a diurnal owl, so he hunts during the day actually. So not all owls are nocturnal. And I'm gonna give you a very interesting tip on how to identify that. But first tell me that superpower. Have you ever seen an owl fly?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah? Have you ever heard an owl fly?
They
Very
just
good.
glide.
Yes, because they fly silently. They produce no sound. They have super stealth. And that's because of their very special feathers. First of all, the flying feathers, these long ones over here, they all end up in a serration pattern on the edges, and they can break through the air turbulence and reduce the sound that they produce greatly. But when you're moving around and there is friction between the feathers, you are creating noise, right? So what to do about that noise? Well, if you take a look around his butt over here, you will see that there are some scruffier feathers. It kind of looks more like hair rather than this beautiful coat of organized feathers. Those feathers cover their entire body on the underneath these external feathers, and they are so soft that they literally work like styrofoam, absorbing the sound in its place. So when they are creating friction, all those sound waves are being trapped in there and they're not going out. So other animals cannot hear them. But most importantly, they don't travel from feather to feather, so they don't hear themselves. That is the main reason why owls are silent. Because of their super hearing, if they didn't have these special feathers to trap the sound in there, every time they flap their wings, they would hear themselves go whoosh, 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 and that would be very disorientating. So owls adapted to be silent, to not listen to themselves. Very interesting, right? It's so interesting to think about that.
Subhanallah.
Now, I'm gonna check, because then 2 minutes. Yes, because then the lumberjack show starts. Last thing that I wanted to say about these guys, when they eat their food, of course they cannot cook, right? So they eat their food whole. In the case of Apollo, he eats 5 mice per day. And when he eats, he thinks that he's an alligator, so he just opens his throat and lets the mouse completely go down. He doesn't even take bites. And when he does that, he's eating a lot of stuff that he shouldn't eat, like fur and teeth and bones and claws. So, do you see how he's moving kind of like a pouch in here? Inside that pouch, there is a food sorting system. So everything that they cannot digest gets trapped in that pouch, and the meat and the fat and everything goes to their stomach to be digested. After 8 hours, they're gonna release some mucus to stick all of those things together, and then they regurgitate it back in the form of pellets. It's kind of like the equivalent of a fur ball for a cat, but a little bit more disgusting because it's got bones and stuff. So yeah, that's something that is really interesting when you work with owls, to analyze what their pellets have, because you can tell what they ate. So it's really important in owl studies. And I think now the lumberjack show is going to start, so to not be interrupted, I'm going to stop yapping. Thank you guys for being here. I really, really appreciate it. If you enjoy the talk, you can even